Hey there, this is Joseph Hecker, the host of Design Talk Live. The Live Broadcast Network is the first all-live broadcast network, with original programming streamed exclusively on Facebook. To stay up to date on our latest shows, programs, and events, visit www.thelivebroadcastnetwork.com. That's www.thelivebroadcastnetwork.com. From the Live Broadcast Network, sponsored by SoCal and KBA, Design Wall, the Design and Style Podcast, Elegant Mosaics, the International Association of Home Staging Professionals, and RST Brands. Design Talk Live is an ongoing conversation with the design community about the design industry. We invite you to get pissed, get inspired, but get talking. This is Design Talk Live.
Hiccups, and hopefully everybody's able to watch. I'm going to tune in right now on Facebook just to check. So, can you tell us a little bit about you? You've got some amazing stuff going on, and the book coming out. Is it coming out or is it already out?
So my book came out a few years ago. Called Unlimiting You, and you know, a book is great, and I think it's powerful and it's helped a lot of people, but I'm a life and business coach by trade, so I like to get in there and work with people. I mean, words on a page are great and inspiring, and then it's about taking action and getting into the nitty-gritty of people's lives and figuring out what to adjust in order to, you know, improve their lives in some way.
Yeah, so, and you probably get this a lot, being a spelling family member. Like, people might think like, well, you're Hollywood. How hard is Hollywood's life, and why the focus on happiness? Can you share a little bit about your background and then what inspired you for the book?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not a woe is me tale. I mean, I grew up incredibly privileged. In many ways, you know, life was kind of fantastical, and we definitely grew up in ways that were extraordinary. But at the same time, I'm a human being. We're all human beings. So I think it's really easy to look on social media or look in media in general and look at people and go, oh my gosh, they have money, they have everything. And it's just not true. I mean, I can tell you, growing up in a world where people have a lot of money, and, you know, there's a lot of focus on external and what you have. And there are some miserable people in Hollywood. You know, on here, everything looks fine. And inside, it's almost worse, because you have all of this and everyone thinks life is great. And inside you're going, but I'm still not happy. So I'm not saying it's like that with everyone. Certainly with me, I just felt, you know, life was more substantial, and I wanted to find the meaning and the purpose. So from early on, I mean, I'm talking crib years, I was feeling everyone's emotions and, you know, really just tuned into the world around me. And it was confusing sometimes to see that, you know, the feeling that everyone had everything around me, yet people weren't always happy. And so I had to make sense of that. And, you know, then I had to find my way, and I was going to follow in my family footsteps, became an actor. And I loved acting. I loved the creativity of it. But it just wasn't destined to always be my path. And so, you know, I went on the hunt for meaning, like, who am I in this world? And led me to some tumultuous times, and sort of went through a dark night of the soul, got addicted to drugs and alcohol, typical Hollywood story. But I pulled myself out of it. And for the last 11, 12 years, I've been on this road of transformation and helping other people transform their lives. And I found what brings me purpose.
Yeah, now just to put a little bit more context to it, how are you related in the scheme of the Spelling family?
So I'm Aaron Spelling's son and Tori Spelling's brother. And, for years, that's how I was known. And so, wanted to carve a path for myself.
Yeah, and so now, were you also in acting too? Did you kind of pick up the family business, or
Yeah.
how did you do
So from about 15 to 25, 26, I was an actor and did TV shows and did movies. And the line felt like it kept moving. And it was always this, when am I going to make it? When am I going to make it more? When am I going to get more? When am I going to be discovered even more? And it's an interesting business in that way that you're only kind of as good as your last project, and you hear all these things in Hollywood, and I don't think that that's true, but it certainly
it?
can feel like that when in the business.
Yeah, I mean, you know, being attached to the family name. I mean, even in people, I think can relate in a lot of different ways. When you've got a father who's in a business and you go visit him at work, and it could be anything. It could be at the machine shop, and it could be at church. It could be at whatever it is. And they bring the family around, and then everybody's like, oh, and they kind of have a expectation. And living up to that expectation, no matter what it is, whatever environment, I think a lot of people can relate to that. And so the book, you share your experience, but what I love about books is that it's also our experiences too.
Yes. Yeah.
What was what were some of the phases that you kind of went through with it? Like so obviously there was some conflict, some conflicting emotions, and then getting to the point where I would assume you hit a spot where the book might even been part of coming to terms with it all. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is fair. I think the book in many ways was healing for me. Definitely catharsis in a way to sit there and write. And I put a fair amount of me and my story in it. The idea was to sort of use myself as a character to show people how even going through the smallest things, such as stress about money and different things, can be turned into something that you can grow from. But yeah, I wrote a whole lot. I mean, I wrote a whole 4 or 5 chapters and then scrapped it and started a new book until it started to take shape. But I needed to get all of that out. And it's a really interesting process to sit and write and then look back and connect the dots of your life. And so for me to see, once I laid out all these dots, do you remember when you were a kid? Did you ever play that game where you put a whole bunch of dots on the paper and then you draw a line and then you draw another line, and the idea is to make squares and boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of like that, right? Like the whole Connect Four is when I started to draw lines to things, I started realizing, wow, it all makes sense. And even the stuff that I went through that was extremely hard, hurtful, painful, it's led me to here. And it was powerful.
I don't know that enough people value their story. And everybody has a story, and sometimes it's easy to look at TV or magazines or other and assume that to make assumptions first of
Yeah.
all, and then to think, well, I'm not good enough. But I know some pretty big name people that you'd be surprised to find that they struggle with where they're at, or where they could be, or where they think they should be, or where even the job kind of dictates that they feel they should be. And
I've met
I think that's
incredibly,
relatable for everybody.
oh,
Uh-huh.
sorry. I was going to say, I've met incredibly successful people, worked with a lot of them, that I would never have a clue how they feel inside until we start talking and they share that with me confidentially, of course. And I realize, wow, oh, it's not just, all of it. That's sort of a human thing, that just because you have a certain job, or just because you have a certain amount of money, or just because you look a certain way, that doesn't mean that you either have it all together or that you feel the way that you want to feel.
Yeah, I say this, and I've said this several times. A few years ago, or many years ago, Forbes did a study, and they did this article, and it said, how much would people need to be content? And so they asked people at 36,000, 85, 100, 250, 500,000. So I was surprised to learn. So people that earn $36,000 a year, do you know how much more they would need in order to be satisfied?
No.
They
50,000?
they said they said if they had $2,000, people who were making $250,000 a year, they said that they needed about 30% more, 30 to 50% more. People making $500,000 a year said that they needed double. And so then they asked, well, why? Well, the people at 36,000 with 2,000 more, they could pay their utilities and not have to worry. They could come home and the lights would be on, and that was good. At $1,000 a year, you're keeping up with other people when they're going to this thing and they're donating to that thing, and you're flying in the same circles,
Yeah.
and that's not easy to maintain. So it's pretty interesting what we think is going to make us happy, and then what actually does.
Absolutely. And you look at other countries, some of the Scandinavian countries, and you see why they have the highest uh, rate of happiness and some of the happiest people in the world. And, you look at their economic system and how they get paid, and the measure of wealth, the distinction between low end and high end is not as much. It's not like there's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly wealthy and then people who are dirt poor. Is that it's more balanced and equal, and that has to have a direct correlation.
Yeah, it does. And people, I don't know, I think we all try to fit in, right? Like, you don't really want to be the odd one. You don't want to be the one that doesn't fit in. And I've said this for a long time. We can only see things through our eyes. As much as we'd love to be empathetic. Our empathy is only our own experiences, right? So when you share your story, what I'm actually hearing is the things that I know to be true, and then I'm trying to relate to them. And so we do that kind of across the board. We do that with all kinds of
Yeah.
even the things that we're not aware of. We make assumptions that everybody else is better, and I'm the only one that's not doing good, or whatever. But that's why I love storytelling. That's why I love platforms like this where we get to have conversations, and I love books because it gives an opportunity for people to hear your story, to relate to it, and then also to feel not alone. To feel like, you know what, I'm not alone in this. That other people, and then other people have been successful at it, and that's hopeful for us all. That gives us kind of this beacon of hope.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about the book? What was kind of a turning point? I know in writing books, these can kind of almost be like a journal. It's kind of a look inward as you're writing the pages. And then it can be very freeing. It's almost like journaling, but in a very public type of way. What was your experience kind of going through it? And then what was the reaction afterwards? How did you feel afterwards?
You know, with with the book, my second daughter was just born. So I had to find these little gaps at night. So a lot of times it was in the middle of the night that I was at the computer typing away. And at first I was thinking there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this. So I was just happy that I worked through my own shit to be able to finish a book, because all of my own stuff came up as not good enough. Who's going to read this? This is crazy. I made up a word for the title. That's even worse. Like all of these things that I felt really strongly about, I had to reconcile within myself. And just that process alone, if I never even published the book, that would have been worth it to even go through that. And I think that's probably the same in life with anything, moving past a fear or thinking I can't do this and setting out to do something and then doing it. So that was a win. The book itself it kind of guided me. I started just writing whatever I felt. And then because this book is kind of a hybrid of a little bit of my life, but also a life coaching, teaching kind of book. There were I would pay attention to the world around me, the clients that I was working with, the messages that I was hearing. And it was really interesting, Joe, how I would hear the same messages within 3 or 4 days. It would literally be, I'd be getting my hair cut, and the woman cutting my hair would tell me the same message that the person in the parking lot right after I started talking to them, and they were telling me. And after a while, I was thinking, whoa, I'm being guided to write what's going into this book. I just have to listen. And that was another huge, exciting win for me.
Yeah. So I know a few friends of mine have written books, and the follow-up, the people that you meet that start to share their story. Can I share? Well, so my friend Angie Everhart, right? When she kind of came out publicly about her, she had thyroid cancer. She had her thyroid completely removed, and she struggled with the whole thing. Having cancer, having her thyroid removed, she's now dependent on medication to live a normal life. And if she takes too much or too little of her medication, she could lose her hair. And as a model, that's not a good thing. And so she was struggling with that. But when she came out with her story and she started, there was a journey of writing it down and then telling it. But then the most impactful thing was the people that she ran into afterwards who started to share their story because she shared her story. Yeah. And that was ultimately for her, that was the life-changing element to the whole thing, to the whole journey.
Yeah. I mean, it is freeing, and there is a deeper level of acceptance about your own story, for better or worse. When you get it down and it's out of here and out of your cells and onto the paper, there's a freedom that comes with that. And I think one of my favorite things about social media and Facebook Lives and Instagram stories and all of it is that people come up to me and talk to me, or they come up and talk to Angie, right? That otherwise I probably would just pass by and not say a word. So the fact that we can share that moment of connection is really cool. And maybe all because I decided to out myself and share a fear that I had on Instagram, and someone happened to see that, or I shared it in a book and someone happened to read it.
Yeah, even on today's episode, this whole the struggle, right?
The struggle is
as
real.
Much as and it is. Darn you, technology! But people watching, and you guys can affirm or deny this one, but I think that people can relate to it, right? If this was entirely produced and it was awesome and it went without a hitch, we could probably deliver the message really well. But people still relate really well to watching the whole thing kind of unfold and being a part of the journey. And so that's what I love about this live.
Well,
What
and I love, well, I just want to say, I love that you said that, because I think that is the new way of the guru, so to speak, is that, you know, when you see these people and you look at them and you go, oh my gosh, they're a self-help guru and everything's great in their life and perfect, and that's what they're showing. And it can be too easy to go, well, I'll never get there. Versus the true fact that I know, because I'm in that world, is that we all have shit to deal with. And it's very imperfect. And, you know, technology doesn't go well, and stuff with a partner doesn't go well, or, you know, something turns out kind of ugly, and you go, gosh, I didn't mean for that to come out like that. I'm really sorry. We're all growing together no matter what stage. So I think it's amazing to show the imperfection, because that's real life. And that's how you grow, is by realizing we're all in this together. You know, I think that's what unites us, is that we all have struggle. I don't care where you're from. We all know some sort of struggle.
Yeah, we definitely. What was the turning point for you?
Oh, what was the turning point? Uh, I know this sounds
That was it.
so dramatic. My turning point was I was going to die or live. I mean, I was that far down the rabbit hole with addiction, um, and I should have died like 4 or 5 times. Seriously, I mean, that's the one thing when I look back, I just shake. Now I have 2 daughters. I shake my head and sort of just, I do one of these, going, "Oh my God, what wow, like that was really crazy, really, really crazy." I mean, my heart stopped beating a few times. My friends all thought they were going to walk into my apartment one day and find me dead. I mean, so many things that happened. And yet, there was a certain time right after my dad passed away. It was, I share this in the book. 2 in the morning, I felt so alone, and I was up. I knew I couldn't go to sleep for hours, and I just thought, I don't want to live like this. I'm done. So I fell to my knees and I just started talking to whoever could hear me, and I said, "Listen, I'm either take me out or let me live what I'm here to do, because I can't do this anymore." And it didn't change the next day, but in a matter of weeks, a few weeks, it started the ball rolling and everything started changing in my life.
Yeah, I don't know if you followed, but we had 2 episodes about suicide, and following Anthony Bourdain and then Kate Spade.
Yeah.
And I struggle with suicide. I can tell you that I know where my bottom is. I couldn't tell you that I would know how to catch myself, but and it wasn't that I was miserable, and it wasn't that I was complacent. It just really wasn't anything that I could really control, because I've been in life in lower spots than I was when I was suicidal. And my suicide, it was I wanted to just kind of there were times where I'd be walking on a street and just the world would get quiet, and if I just fell sideways into the street, then it just seemed to make sense. It was a weird compulsion. I wasn't a cutter, and I wasn't trying to leave family behind. I wasn't. There was no thought of anything other than like compulsion. And I shared that a couple of times, and it's life. And episodes really helped a lot of people be able to share their stories as well. So sharing your story, and people will probably tell you that they're how brave and all these different things. And I'm going to assume this is an assumption, and let me know your thoughts on it. But that's not even the reaction you were going for. It's kind of even the journey, just sharing the story.
Yeah, you know, by now I feel far removed from that. So it's sort of just telling a story. But thank you for sharing your story with people. And again, the more that we share these things, the more it helps people go, it's not just me. I'm not crazy. And yeah, I really believe that we need to share this stuff. And I just want to mention this because, you know, I've been working with people now for about 11 years, and I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And it's this weird thing that we have as human beings. When we're doing great, we usually do things that are really good for us, right? Not everything across the board, but it's like we get into better habits and patterns, or we might be going to bed earlier. Like when we're feeling good, we're doing things that are usually more positive. For some reason, when we're feeling bad, when we need to do the self-care the most, when we need to reach out to someone, when we just need to exercise and get the endorphins going a little bit, that's the time that everything stops. And it's like we don't do any of that. And so I found this so much so that I could call it research, that I made this my when in need cheat sheet. And it's literally a list that people can fill out, and it's for when they're in need. They have an alarm on their phone. They have something that goes off every couple days. So if they find themselves in a rut, if they find themselves in this place, they literally can go to this when in need cheat sheet and do it and just take action. And they have a pact with themselves that no matter what, they're going to pick something on that list and do it.
Yeah. And Camille just posted about the suicide prevention hotline, and I totally agree with it. In our follow-up episode, when Anthony Bourdain passed or committed suicide, we touched on the subject of how honestly the suicide prevention hotline wouldn't have helped me. That was not even what I was thinking about. I wasn't. Honestly, just the world was at total peace if I just fell sideways. That was it. And I wasn't thinking of the kids. I wasn't thinking, and I wasn't being selfish. It just, it's kind of like being hungry. You're just hungry, it just hits you all of a sudden. When you get that hangry part,
I'm
uncontrollable.
hangry. I'm gonna. Do you think that there is, when you were feeling that way, could you label that as feeling extremely disconnected in the moment? Just disconnected from the world, disconnected from any sort of higher power, the universe? Is it in that moment you just felt disconnected?
You're absolutely, that's a great word for it. Yeah, definitely. And I would say that we have some form of that a lot of the time. How many times are you in a conversation with somebody and you just kind of like, you just zone out? I could be in a room full of 1,000 people and feel alone, So, and we made the disclaimer the last 2 times. I'm not a psychological professional. I don't know this stuff, I just went through some things. So yeah, all I can do is share my experience, but and same thing, right? Like your story is your story, and then how people is how. And again, I'd say it's just a matter of letting people know you're not alone.
I think that's definitely the first step, is you're not alone. And then in that, what are other steps that you can do to pull yourself out of that place, or to get help, or to, the crisis prevention hotline may not be a saving grace for everybody, but it's an option. And like you said, the more that we share, the more that other people share, the more options there are, as opposed to this taboo. I'm feeling so disconnected, and I'm so disconnected that I'm not going to share with other people. But if you know that it's okay to share, and that many other people are in that place or have been in that place, then it's not as big of a deal. It's not as taboo.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of goes back to that being alone part, like I mean, this is why we find a partner. This is why you stay in a thing maybe even too long. This is why you have friends, and that's good. It's good to have those connections. Um, Focusing on the happiness part of the book,
Yeah.
what are the things that are now bringing you joy? Was there a turning point for you where now you've kind of got a grip on, like, the focus on happiness? And can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. One of the things is about happiness is finding authenticity, finding, and I can't say what this is for everybody. For me, it was living my life the way that I wanted to live it without pleasing other people or without measuring up to other people's standards or what they thought I should do, but really, truly, genuinely how I want to live my life. That was a huge factor in happiness. Self care is another big factor. What are the things that I need to do in order to feel my best? So, whether that's exercise, whether that's eating right, whether that's going on walks or going outside and connecting to nature, but doing some of the patterns and the habits that help me feel and function my best. Um, Having kids was a huge thing for me. I mean, they bring me happiness every day. They also, it can be stressful at times and whatnot, but that's been an amazing part of my life, being married, having kids. And I'd say this, in terms of overall happiness quotient, it's very hard to be happy when you're living too much in the past, meaning there's things from your past that are holding you back or affecting you or you haven't healed yet. That inhibits happiness like that. The other thing is living too much in the future because that causes anxiety. So thinking too much about what could happen or trying to control everything or figuring out, okay, in 2 years, if this doesn't happen, and your mind just goes down that road and it completely usurps your ability to be present. So that is, if you can find this sweet spot of happiness, I think you can have it more. The one thing the last thing I want to say about happiness is an emotion. So by nature, it has a tendency to be transitory and just go up and down and fluctuate. You're not sad every single moment of the day. You're not angry every single moment of the day. I think it's unfair to think that you would be happy every moment of the day. You wouldn't be able to grow as a
Yeah,
human
yeah,
being if you were happy every single moment. So it's a dance of how to work with happiness and sure, how to find more fulfillment, but also know when you're not feeling happy that that's okay too, and how to work with that to come back to center.
yeah. Camille just posted, totally guilty of future tripping.
Yeah,
And that's true. We can
tripping.
kind of get hung up on not only the past, but we can also get hung up on the future. Randy, I thank you so much for being on. For you guys watching, we've got the links to the books above and all of your social media. Post your comments on Rewatch. I know a lot of you guys will end up watching this on Rewatch. Post your comments because we will get updates and we'll be able to answer any of your questions and talk further in the comments. I would love to have you back on and maybe we could have a better connection for next time. I know tech difficulties and the running way over. We've got Leah waiting, and so we got to move on to her too. Randy, it was such a great a pleasure to have you on today.
Oh, it was fun to be here. I'd love to be on again. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, definitely.
Bye.
Thanks, Randy. We are going to cut to a quick commercial break. So we're going to try this for the first time. So for you guys that are watching, this is maybe we will not do a commercial break. That didn't tee up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and bring on Leah Black here. Well, let me try this quick commercial break.
Natasha. We are broadcasting live from Baylor University in Scranton, Pennsylvania, with a partnership of the University of
So this show is exciting because each week I'm going to be hosting a live talk show where I'm going in depth on a design trend, something that is really hot, and we're going into that hot seat to find out all
What's up,
about it.
Facebook
So I'll
peeps?
be
This is Joseph with
interviewing
Design Talk Live,
celebrities.
and we're here at the International Association of Home Staging Professionals Expo and Convention, where tomorrow night the Scott Brothers.
At RST Brands, we value outdoor living and entertaining. From our best-selling Deco collection, which offers a contemporary twist to a classic design, to the popular Portofino collection, you can find the type of furniture that fits your lifestyle best. Designed with high-quality, weather-resistant materials, we invite you to relax on a set that's going to be with you for years. Visit us at rstbrands.com to find the collection that best suits your outdoor space.
This show is exciting because each week I'm going to be hosting a live talk show where I'm going in depth on a design trend, something that is really hot. Celebrities and architects and designers, people who are creating those trends. Each week we're going to go really, really far into how that trend started, why it's hot, and then we get to hear from two perspectives how to get that look. One will be on the luxury price point, one will be on the budget price point. And both are winners, both are amazing, and both have really great reasons why you need that product to make that trend happen. But it'll be up to you to decide which one you want.
Sorry about the delay. I truly apologize. Randy was awesome.
He was. Listen in. He was great.
Yeah. So I know we're super far behind, and I thank you for sticking with us. Leah Black from Miami, the Real Housewives of Miami, and so much more. So can you share with us all of you?
That housewife show was my superficial me. I'm actually more serious than that. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm kind of kidding. I've had a skincare and cosmetic company since I was like a kid, and I do that, and then I am big in politics. I work to raise money for campaigns and help get people elected and register voters, and I do that. And I have a book that I wrote. It's a novel. It's called Red Carpets and White Lies, which is a superficial Jackie Collins type book about the Miami social scene. Page 6 said I was a new Jackie Collins, so we'll see. And what else do I do? I don't know. I do everything. I mean, I have products, and I have my book, and I have a costume jewelry line exhibit here. And, I just am doing stuff all the time. I have a 17-year-old. I'm married 20-something years, and life's good.
Yeah. I mean, mother, wife, philanthropist, author, television personality.
I do the charity.
Yeah, like
that was a full-time gig for a long time.
How do you juggle it all, and then kind of where did it all get started? And then third question is like a multi-layered question. How did it all roll into each other?
Well, I've always worked, so the work part was just kind of natural. That's just what I do. I don't know how not to work. So I started out putting together a skincare line based on a formula that my grandmother had used for years, and she literally just died a few years ago at 90, almost 100. And she really never had wrinkles or anything. And it was a product where you use egg whites and aloe vera gel, and it makes a mask that lifts, tones, firms, tightens, and kind of irons out the wrinkles in your skin. So I collaborated with a lab on that, but then I had found a company in California that kind of sold a similar one, and I sold that for a while, and then I said, well, I think I can do this on my own and do it better. So I did that, and I did that for years and years and years, too many years, and that's really the only skincare product I've ever used since, I guess, the mid-'80s, and it's called Sudden Youth. It's available at leahblack.com if anybody wants to hear about it. But so then from that,
just touching on the cosmetic line.
I'm sorry?
So touching on the cosmetic line.
Yeah.
So how did you go about that whole process? Or did you find a gap in, you just weren't satisfied with the products that were out there, and you said, you know what, here's some of my needs, and I think other people can relate to that too, and they're going to need this as well. How did that go?
It wasn't that I was not satisfied. I thought the product that I did sell in California was a really very good product. I thought I could do it better by getting better raw ingredients, and I thought I could market it better and brand it better. So I just started my own company, and initially I did multi-level marketing for many years, and then I sold that company when I went into doing infomercials. I did infomercials with Mike Levy, and we did that for a period of time. In fact, my infomercial on Sudden Youth was the top infomercial in the world for like 3 years. It was in the top 3. And then I went on HSN for a while with it, and now I just make it available on my website. But it's just something that I believe in because I know the product works and the people see results in 20 minutes, and everyone wants to look younger. At the time I started out, I was so young, I didn't get the value of looking younger. I just thought it was a great way to maintain and take good care of your skin. And I've always kind of been a little bit of, I wouldn't say a health nut, but I ran 40 health clubs at one time, and I eat pretty much vegan, and so I've always been aware of what it takes to maintain youth, beauty, fitness, and those things. And so it was just something that was natural, really natural for me to do, and I just never gave it up. And the reason I didn't give it up, I could have given it up. Actually, I did sell one company, and then I started again, but was because the customers loved the product so much. So I just felt obligated to continue to supply the product. And that's why I started the website at leahblack.com, because once I got married and then I had a kid, I just didn't have the time, ambition, and drive to go to every trade show out there, to travel. At one time I was traveling 200,000 miles a year. I went everywhere from Prague to Switzerland to France to Germany to Baden-Baden I just went everywhere, the Caribbean, Canada. I was just everywhere with the product. And once I got married, I decided, I really have to make a choice. I can't do that. And so that's when I decided to just trim my life down and simplify the skincare. And if you want it, it's there. And if you don't, I'm not going to go out and knock on your door for it anymore, because I know it works. And if you start on it, you'll stay on it. And that's it. So that's how that ended up. And then when I got married, I got bored. I was like, oh my God, I'm not traveling every day. I don't have anything to do. So I started a charity, and then that took on a life of its own. And I did that literally, it was 4 to 5 months out of the year for free. Not that that's a complaint. It's just I'm pointing it out because a lot of people start charities and they make profit off of them. It literally cost me, Jason says it cost me around $80,000 a year to run that charity. But in any event, it was worth it because we helped at-risk kids. And my formula for that was that we would try to keep kids that were getting arrested. Instead of them fingerprinting them and taking them straight to jail, they would get a second chance. And what gave me that idea was being married to a criminal lawyer, actually his civil and criminal law firm, but he's more known for criminal law, where I saw what happens when they just arrest these people, put them in jail. They don't have money for bail. The family's torn apart. They freeze their assets. They have no money, and their life is just crumbled, and everyone around them crumbles. And so I was like, something, the best thing for me would be to try to help them from ever getting in that situation. So we came up with giving them second chances and enrolled the Florida state and some judges and people into helping. And over a 22-year period, we did, a gala a year. And I figured the best way in Miami, Miami's a town where people want to see and be seen. It's not... people don't always give anywhere for the cause. They give for the party. So I decided to make it a big party. So I started getting celebrity friends of mine to perform for free. And that's how I sold the tickets. And that's how we brought in all the money. So The first big celebrity I got was Barry Gibb. He performed in my house because we used to do it in my yard, and then we grew into a hotel. And the last big celebrity that I had perform was Aretha Franklin. So we've been from Barry Gibb all the way through Pitbull and Natalie Cole and all of them. Flo Rida, I could just go, Pharrell, on and on and on. Dionne Warwick, I've had them all. And then when I did Aretha, I thought, I really am never going to top this. I've done it 20-something years. I think that I need a break, and I think that the donors that I pick their pockets every time I see them are tired of seeing me come asking for money. So I just took a couple of years off from that, and I don't know when I'll start it again and what I'll do, but I'll always be one way or another raising money or trying to make the world better. Then that went into politics, and then I just am always busy. I don't know. I wrote the book on my BlackBerry because I just thought it was fun to write, and I didn't know I was such a good writer. After I wrote it, I was like, I'm such a good writer, and everybody said, "Oh my God, she's got a natural raw talent for writing." And I'm like, well, who knew? Because I'd always written beauty blogs and magazines and interviews in magazines, and I was in contract to write for magazines, but I didn't take myself seriously. And then I wrote the book, and then when Page Six said, "Well, my God, the next Jackie Collins," I was like, damn, girl, get with it, start writing again. So I have to put out another book at some point because I told the publisher I would. So I just do stuff. I'm like,
you still have the BlackBerry?
I just do stuff. I do, like, you got something, I'll do it. Like they say, you want something done, ask somebody who's busy and they'll get it done. So that's me. That's what I do. I get stuff done.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, I think it's because you learn the muscle memory of juggling a lot of things. And so you're able to do it, and you get accustomed to it.
So people are accustomed to those 4-hour lunches. You know those women that do those 4-hour lunches? I can't hear you again. Are you talking? I can't hear you. Say it again. I lost you.
Are you able to hear?
I didn't hear you.
Let me see.
Okay. I can't hear you. I'm not hearing you.
Oh, no.
Now I'm hearing you. Okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Are you going to write the next book on your, do you have a BlackBerry still?
Believe it or not, I kept my BlackBerry till it was on its last leg, just like my car that I got rid of after 14 years because my son was 7 or 8 years old and his friend's parents said he can't ride in that car. It's not safe. It doesn't have airbags. So I'm like, stick with stuff. So I won't write it on my BlackBerry. We'll probably write it on my iPhone, But then, I'm always generating something. There are people that just sort of make things happen, and there are people that watch things happen, and there are people just wondering what's happened. I'm one of those, not that it's necessarily always good, but I'm always making something happen. It could be a big mess, or it could be something really good. I started the podcast, Lunch with Leah, because it started going on guest radio shows all the time. And everyone said, "Oh my God, I like talking to you." And so I'm just like, "Well, you want to talk to me? I'll just talk to you." So I started this Lunch with Leah podcast, and that became somewhat successful considering I don't know what I'm doing. And I started out with one listener, me, and so I don't know. I just do stuff. What do you do? Are you bored of talking about me yet?
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. Even on today's show, we kind of keep throwing ourselves out there, right? Like, I'm not afraid of the failure part. Obviously, thing was not even yet. You know what? It's just part of it, and these things don't always come off great. And some of the ideas, they just don't even work. But it's still getting out there and giving it a shot, And
well, you're not, it's like they say about the lottery. You're not going to win if you don't play. So if you're not out there doing something, then you're going to be doing nothing, which usually leads to being up to no good. So.
And I think that you're involved in politics, and you can share, how you're involved in politics, but just on the fact of people join chat rooms and they get really angry about it, and people get really heated about it, but they don't actually do anything about it.
Right.
So if you're going to be that passionate, well, do something. Whatever your standing is on whatever, then go do something about it. So I appreciate.
For me, with politics, I felt like my strength was really raising money because I know how to raise money. I lost you again. So I started with that, and then one thing leads to to another, because you need to raise money, and then you want to help that candidate, and then you see what's going on in the world, and you want to help that candidate, and it's one of those things that you just today, in today's world of politics, I mean, anyone that's sitting on the sidelines is just a fool. I mean, I'm sorry to say, what's wrong with you? Everybody's got to help. Oh, someone just said I'm hilarious. Hi, I'm hilarious.
I think I think Donna just loves your energy and your personality.
Well, it's my energy. It's my energy from this coffee. I'm not an early riser, and I got up early today for you. Listen, it takes a lot for somebody to get me up early.
Well, thank you so much. Now
I'm sounding lazy because it's noon, but we're going to be early. Remember, we got started late.
Definitely, yeah. No, this whole thing has been a process today.
That's all right.
So, are you still doing the podcast?
I do the podcast every Wednesday, usually by myself, and people write in questions, or they go to hello@leahblack.com and they email me questions in advance. And then they have their own my little podcast group has their own little chat room group. They're like all friends now. And then once in a while I have a guest. Like last week I had Frankie Grande. I don't know if you are familiar, but he's a Broadway star, and he has a one-man show, and he's with Nickelodeon, and he's just a big talent, the gayest gay you'll ever meet, and it's fabulous. And his sister's Ariana, so they're out there doing stuff. And I had him last week, and we did a special edition. But usually I just do Lunch with Leah on Wednesdays. We do Facebook Live, and then it's also we put it on YouTube, and it's posted, everywhere. And it's on Acast podcast, which any podcast provider gets. And that to me is just fun, because see, what I've learned about myself is I will take the path of least resistance when I can. Like, I'm basically a lazy human being. I just like to sleep late. So if I don't commit myself to something to get me up and doing something, I'll do nothing. I'll sit in front of the TV and watch news all day, every day, and read everything about politics. So by committing myself to the podcast, it forces me to stay up on the news, up on politics, up on social media, up on celebrity news, up on gossip, and up on everything. My little dog wants attention.
Yeah,
so it forces me to actually get involved. The charity forced me, because you got all these kids counting on you raising money so they can get out of poverty and jail, forced me to raise money, So what I do is I kind of dig myself a big hole. I just, with some bright-eyed, stupid idea, and I just jump in it, and then I have to dig myself out because I said I was going to do it, and what am I going to do? Just like not do it now? So now I've dug myself this podcast hole that's been going on for 2.5 years, and I'm just digging myself out of that, hoping somebody will listen. Same thing with my skincare. It's on the website. I'm hoping somebody will buy it. My book, I'm hoping somebody will just buy it since I wrote it. It's just like I just jump in a hole and dig myself out.
Hold on. Show the book again. All written on your BlackBerry?
Yes.
Look at the thickness of that. Turn that over.
My BlackBerry. All of it. Where all the secrets are written and all the bodies are buried. And if you live in Miami, you can kind of figure out who some of the characters are. Of course, they're not, all the information isn't based on fact. I embellished, as authors do. The author.
That's the way to know about it. What? I mean, I can relate in that when we started this show, this was a rant. I literally, September of 2017, posted on Facebook that I was going to go live, and the topic was, and I even tattooed it on my wrist, F the trends. And it.
Oh my God, look at all those tattoos.
Yeah, well, I actually did all of these on myself.
Are you kidding me? I'm afraid to get a shot. Oh my God. Oh my God. Enough. You need to stop. Don't get any more. Now that's nurturing me giving you good advice. That's enough. Done. I told Frank the same thing last week.
This whole show started as a rant, has just evolved, and now we've signed more shows. And again, it's just kind of like,
what were you ranting about? What was your, like, I'm going to rant about What?
So our first episode, I was out at the High Point Market. It's like the country's largest furniture
I've been
market.
to High Point. I used to have a health club there called Figure World.
Okay, yeah. So twice a year we got this big furniture market, and I had a tech company as well, and so I went off to DC afterwards to go speak in DC. And on the way back, I was watching my interior design friends talking about the trends, all these things that they found. And I was sitting there going, these are the same people that are complaining that their clients are on their cell phones saying, well, I can find all of this on my cell phone. Why do I need to hire an interior designer? So I was like, quit, go discover something yourself and then bring it back to your neck of the woods and be the trendsetter. But don't just regurgitate what you heard from the manufacturers.
Right.
So,
Don't be a copy. Be an original.
yeah. So I went on Facebook. I'd never gone live on Facebook. Never. I don't even like selfies. And I posted that I was going to go live the next day at 8 a.m. and the title was F the Trends. We had 2,200 people watching me live, and that episode was viewed 30,000 times. I think it was that day or that week. So
What did you say? That was so interesting.
yeah. I don't know. And I was saying back then too, I got a face for radio. So
That's funny. That's cute.
So it just picked it up and went. So it's been awesome. We've got on a crazy guest and it's really just grown. We have now become a network. So now we are the live broadcast network, and Design Talk Live is a show inside of the network. And we've got on January 23rd, Jennifer Farrell is launching Design Hot Seat. We've launched A Student's Perspective. We've signed shows like Unupholstered.
It's mostly all about like design and interior design.
No, so we're fanning out. What I think it was the second show that we signed was Megan Golden, Let's Talk Country.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got Danny Bald, Naked Runway. So this is all fashion.
Okay.
So yeah, we're really fanning out. I really wanted to get out of, again, so same thing, like, you know, you're doing the charities and it feels like you're talking to the same people and the same people keep showing up to the events. We were talking to the same manufacturers over and over again.
Right.
This gives us the ability to talk to a different industry. So it lets us talk to different industries, get different sponsors, and grow.
Well, listen, that's real. I mean, I need to learn from you because all I do is the same thing over and over again. I don't know what to do to expand. You were thinking of design. The reason I asked you about design is because I was on Flipping Out the last 3 years with Jeff Lewis talking about design. And I was like, well, you need to get him. You know, he's a great designer. So and he goes to High Point all the time. I was like, you're in design?
First time I met Jeff, I was in Costa Mesa. And I showed up to this event, and I'm talking with this guy, and he's taller than me. And I was like, oh, so what do you do? And he was like, I'm a designer. And I was like, oh, commercial, residential. And he's like, mostly residential. And had I got there about 10 minutes earlier, he was the keynote.
Oh.
And I would have realized that was Jeff Lewis. Since then, we've hung out a bunch of times, and
really?
out at High Point, we partied pretty good out there.
Oh my
Tyler and the whole crew, Megan, everybody, they're hilarious.
That's fabulous. Yeah, you know, he's got a radio show now. I go on that sometimes.
Yeah, when the season canceled, they were already picked up on the podcast and the radio show. And he was, they were already kind of 2 feet out the door anyhow, but. And then
let's see what happens about that. He's so good on TV. I have a feeling somebody will see him back again somewhere.
That's the talk. So keep watching out for that one because that is the talk. Like he's got I think it's Netflix is The Buzz.
Oh,
so,
really? I don't know. Yeah. When I talk to him, it's usually about Seinfeld gossip, nothing. We just laugh and have fun together.
Yeah, no, definitely. We got we haven't announced it yet, but she's a really good friend of mine, and so we think this one's going to come through. Do you know Angie Everhart, the supermodel?
I know who she is. I don't know her personally.
So we're working on a show together. So that
you mean television or radio? Television or radio?
So it'll be here on Facebook. It'll be live streamed, and the concept for that one is she's going to have on a bunch of different celebrity guests talking about a turning point in their life.
Oh, that's a good topic.
Yeah, I shared when Randy was on about how Angie had thyroid cancer, and so she's a survivor, and so that was a turning point for her.
Who
And so
are you talking about, Randy? Who's Randy?
Randy Spelling.
Randy.
Right
I thought you said Randy. Okay, yeah.
So that turning point, I think, is a good conversation. I think people want to know, you know, how you got from here to there, and so because it's just relatable. We've all got our journey, and we all want to know that we're not alone in that journey.
I like success stories, and I even like failure stories, because you know that if they're trying and have enough plates spinning, they're going to come out the other side of it eventually with a success. So I love hearing people's stories. I think that's a very interesting topic. People are going to tune in for that. Yeah,
and like, I know that we talked with Chelsea Handler, and she's got just a crazy group of friends that are already excited about coming on our show. So
oh, good. I love her.
Yeah.
You know what I love so much about her is I knew her team back when she was on Chelsea Live. She is so good to people. She is such a nurturer and such a caretaker and so generous and pays for everything and takes everybody everywhere with her every time. And she's just just a good person. And then she committed herself to raising money and helping politicians get into office, that people she believes in, and she and I have the same taste in politics. So that's what I like about her, is that she has a lot of depth to her underneath the superficial comedy that she's brilliant at. So I love her.
She is. She's got a lot of things going, and it's yeah, she does the comedy. It's her personality. It's definitely her personality, but there's a lot more behind it.
A lot more, yeah. She's got a lot of depth.
Well, I'm so sorry for running so far over, and maybe we can make it up with a better connection next time. I thought we were pretty squared away, but loved having you on today. What have you got coming up?
Coming up, well, my podcast is tomorrow. I have on my leahblack.com website, we have 75% off handbags through Valentine's Day, because I want everyone to be glittered up and glammed up. Jason, hand me a handbag, and I'll give you an example. And then I have my skincare, a special on my skincare, because what I've realized, if people use one product and then they start buying everything. So I'm doing this serum, which is really a $60 retail product for $10 just to get people started on it. And what else I have going on, Jason? Let's see, like my handbags, they're fabulous.
Oh, wow.
Costume jewelry, fabulous. I like the bells and the whistles.
My co-host for this show is Donna Moss, who was on HGTV. She's dubbed the Queen of Bling. So I know right now, and I'm going to give, this is for Donna, I'm going to do a close-up on.
A lot of celebrities have my handbags. A lot have my handbags, and they love them. I like to make people feel good, bring out the best of them, have them look their best. I don't like the jealous ones. I like the ones that think there's enough for everybody, and they want to empower everybody and hope that they're the poorest person in the room, not the richest. I like those people. So I like to make people look good and feel good. And then I think when you look good and feel good, then you do better in life. So I have always been an advocate for helping people and helping bring people up. And that's kind of, I think, why I'm in the beauty business. As superficial as it is, it's the world that we live in. I mean, it is. And everybody wants to look good. I'm with you on that selfie thing. I mean, I don't know how to use it right, and I couldn't care less about it, but everybody loves it. So if you can make them look good and feel good, they're going to do good. And everybody needs to do good in the world, because if you think about the people that are causing the problems in the world are people who don't have goodness in their life, so they're just desperate and miserable, and misery loves company, and they just create havoc, so that's what I kind of do all day, every day, is I just look for some stray cat to bring in and help them get through life.
For you guys that are watching and you guys that rewatch, we've got the links for Leah's podcast and her website and social media all above, so click on the links above. Leah, thank you so much for being on today. And again, I apologize for the tech difficulties. There's some curveballs.
All right. Listen, out of adversity comes opportunity. So now look what we did in spite of everything. You see?
Yeah.
Made it happen.
Well, thank you so much, Leah.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Coming up next, join next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 Eastern, as we feature more great celebrities, live music performances, and edgy topics on Design Talk Live. Design Talk Live is produced by the Live Broadcast Network on BeLive.tv and airs exclusively on Facebook. Music by Old Bossa by Twin Musicom, licensed under a Creative Commons Attributions license. Design Talk Live is proudly sponsored by SoCal and KBA, Design Wall, the Design and Style Podcast, Elegant Mosaics, the International Association of Home Staging Professionals, and RST Brands. For information about events, sponsorship, or being a guest on the show, please visit www.thelivebroadcastnetwork.com/Design Talk Live.